look, even if I didn't like the game, right, I really liked your energy. There was something about that, like, you were really passionate about your game. And when you had me and Shud come along talk about, like, some of the stuff that... Because there was some issues with, especially Plumbo, where there were issues with, like, hitboxes and stuff. Like, you were really, really passionate to hear about, like, ways that could be addressed. And you'd already thought about some of those issues yourself. But it was just really cool to see someone who clearly really cared about their game and also had the ability to talk about it, because there's a lot of people who are really good developers, right? But they don't really have that I guess, public-facing energy, the ability to really talk about it in a way that gets other people excited.
Absolutely, and I think, like, it's no it's no detriment to those individuals. I just it's a skill. It's a skill to be acquired over time. Now that I'm 28. I have learned how to do that in the last few years, whereas the earlier years in my studies and just trying to discover game development was just the hardcore programming and graphics and those kinds of things. But now that I'm sort of moving towards more of a, I want to get these games out there to the people, I have to focus on all the other things that come with that.
Yep.
Marketing, publishing, back ends of Steam, all those kinds of things, reviews, and now I'm on podcasts, so things are looking up.
So what is your background actually like in game development? When did you start? Do you have any sort of formal education in this space, or is it all self-taught?
That's a good question. When I started developing games when I was a kid, I started on a program called Game Maker. I'm sure many people who have tried game development or have undertaken any sort of game development before have probably heard of Game Maker. It's quite popular in the scene. Even now, people use it to produce amazing games professionally. But I started using that when I was a kid. I saw one of my primary school teachers using it, and I was just totally like a fly on a light bulb. I'm like, what's going on over here? And it was all very much just like a basic sort of Pac-Man clone that he'd made, but I was still just so infatuated by it. And so I decided, that's it, I'm going to learn how to do game development. And it took me a few years to cross from 2D into 3D. That's always a big shift for many game developers, I think, if they decide that they want to do that. Adding that third dimension can be tricky. By high school, I was probably working more in 3D than I was in 2D. And once I'd finished high school, I decided that I would go study at Flinders University. And I continued and did a Bachelor of Creative Arts Digital Media there. So a degree with a lot of focus in digital media as a whole.
Okay.
And I specialized in film and game development. So yeah, that's how I've come to be the artist that I am now and the game developer I am now. I've had a lot of amazing support over the years. Specifically, I just want to give a quick shout out to Shane
Go ahead. Go right ahead. Is there anyone you want to mention?
Yeah, Shane Bevan from Flinders. My lecturer, he really pushed me over the edge, got me through my degree, made sure that my work was great and I was proud of what I was doing. And he helped me build those foundational blocks to get a real good portfolio out there to the gamers.
For anyone who may not be aware, there is a really popular game that was made in Game Maker. They've got it on their website. Katana Zero was made in that project, which is really cool. I didn't know that myself until just now.
Yeah, Hotline Miami as well. That's an older one.
Yep.
That was totally made, I believe, in a really old version of Game Maker. So very like original Minecrafty, like in the sense of the code base is very unique. So that's how I started, and I decided that I needed to do more to learn C#, and basically things just started firing from there. And so now I use Unity, very similar to, I'm assuming, both of the other developers that you have interviewed so far from AvCon.
I believe both games were Unity games. If someone happens to see this and remembers if Blood Reaver, and I know End of Ember is definitely Unity. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure Blood Reaver is as well.
I think you're right. I think I spoke to Ewan and he was saying that he's using that he's the director of Hellbite Studios. Yeah, I think he's using Unity too. It's really great meeting all these people and being in the space. So coming from not doing anything, never meeting anyone, just kind of keeping to myself, going through primary school and high school, doing game development, and now that I'm sort of making it in my early career stage, I'm meeting so many fantastic people who previously I thought there was nobody that liked to do this sort of thing, right? I thought I was an outlier, but actually, in actual fact, there's so many people who love to do it, and I just didn't have my eyes and ears open. And I like to say to people, I'm not a solo developer out of choice. It was really out of necessity back then. And now I'm looking to just get out there and meet people and make bigger projects.
I've heard a fairly similar sentiment from the other people I've had on, where they started doing this development stuff, maybe they were younger, and they didn't realize there was actually any sort of scene that existed in Adelaide. Like, you see what's happening in Melbourne, you see what's happening in Sydney, you're like, oh, yeah, that's where everyone is, that's where everybody in the tech space is, but there are these growing spaces that exist in South Australia as well. It's just you need to find where they are.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you have seen that with the success of your main channel and trying to carve out your own path and your own niche within the online space. And how do you do that? It's such a it's an oversaturated market at the end of the day, and you need to try to cut through and speak volumes, to your audience. And I think one of the best ways to do that is do what a lot of the other game developers around me say and make games that you love, first of all, that you love. Because if you do that, you love what you're playing, then you're going to love the process of making it. And also when the audience receives that product in the end, going to give you immense satisfaction as a game developer.